Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today is going to be something a little bit different. Actually, it's going to be a lot different. Today is going to be a modding tutorial. I'm going to be showing you how to create a brand new species in Planet Zoo. We're going to take a base game animal, pair it with the a DLC animal files, and create an entirely new animal from it. What we're going to do is create a Malayan tiger using our Bengal tiger model and rig and the jaguar files. This is going to be a two-part video. The first part here is going to go over how to do the files, which is the most important part. Second part of the video will be the Blender and Photoshop work, doing the model, the texture, doing the Zoopedia, the Zoopedia images, the headers, the thumbnails, all of that fun stuff. So what we're going to do first up, now this is my mod test zoo where I just test all the different animals. You can see there's some works in progress over here. There's various different ones that are finished. I just kind of leave them all in here and it's getting out of hand and I'm going to have to sort this out at some point. But we're actually not going to spend much time in Planet Zoo today. What we're going to do is spend a ton of time in our databases and files making the new species. First up though, I want to go over the tools that you're going to need to do this. So this is my desktop. As you can see, it's a giant mess. This is where I keep all my stuff right now, the modding stuff. Yeah, that's not great, but you're going to want to have some place where you organize those. Now, for the tools, we're going to come over here. First up, you will need Blender. You need Blender 2.92. Blender is free. Blender is awesome. Don't try to use Mousescape, anything else. The OVL tool, the plugin for it does not work with anything other than Blender. It's written specifically for Blender, so you need that. Next up, you need a photo editing software such as Adobe Photoshop. If you don't want to pay Adobe 20 bucks a month for Photoshop, use GIMP. GIMP is free. GIMP is awesome. I don't currently use GIMP because it doesn't play nice with my Wacom tablet. On that note, having a graphics tablet is very, very beneficial for this. It's not essential though. You can texture with a mouse. I've done it. The red wolf, the Mexican wolf, the New Guinea singing dog, part of the scimitar horned oryx, all done with mouse. I had to do it with mouse because my old Wacom Intuos 4 finally died. I now have the Wacom Intuos Pro, the small one which doesn't take up as much space on my desk. A Cintiq or other graphics tablet, if you with an actual display tablet, if you can get one, is amazing. Being able to draw directly on the screen and see what you're doing directly under your pen is awesome. It's not essential though. You don't have to shell out a ton of money to get going in modding. You actually don't have to spend any money at all. All the tools that I'm showing you today are free. Next up, you need Cobra tools and Python. This is where you get your Cobra tools off of GitHub. Now the download is down here. Get the latest code right here. You also need Python. You must get the 64-bit. You must install it with path, meaning add it to the system path. There's a checkbox that says path. You will have to do that. You also need Microsoft C++ redistributable. Make sure you've gotten that. Blender plugin we don't use anymore. This code is actually your plugin. When we do the part 2 of the tutorial, I will show you how to install that because we're not going to need it for this one. You will also need a database editor. We use SQLite Studio. Again, this is free. Just hit the download. Make sure you get the most recent one. This is how we edit our databases, which is where all the code for your new species is going to live. On that note, you don't actually have to know how to code to do this. This is the great thing about this. The guys have made this a really easy process. You also need Notepad++. Get the most recent one. You are also going to need a hex editor, which I forgot to bring up here. Hex editor, here it is. Freeware. Is this the right one? This is the one? Okay, this is the one, and there will be links to all of this down below. You will need a hex editor. The current generation of the Cobra tools does have a built-in DAT editor. I don't trust it because I don't think it actually gets all of them. I like to manually hex edit my main and asset packages. So you will need that one. Notepad++, we already went over. You have to have this one, just Notepad doesn't quite work. You will also need a UUID generator. Make sure you get the version 4. Again, this one is free, UUIDgenerator.net. Use the version 4. You can just copy this one off here. This is going to be for our manifest. So these are all the tools you need to get started modding Planet Zoo. So let's get in and get going. So where we're going to build this mod is right here in the Planet Zoo folder. So wherever you have it installed on your computer, you want to navigate to that. It's usually going to be on one of your drives, probably under Program Files x86, Steam Libraries, Steam Apps, Common, Planet Zoo. Once you get here, navigate to Win64 and then OVL data. This is where all of the data for the game lives. Content 0 is our base game. As you can see, we go in here into animals. This is all the base game animals, including the deluxe animal pack animals as well. Content 1 is the Arctic pack. Content 2 is South America, Australia, aquatic, and then the Southeast Asia animal pack is content 5. You can also see I have a few of my own mods installed here. A couple of these have been, most of these have been released. A couple of them are works in progress. We're not going to worry about them. To get started, you're going to right click and make a new folder. Now, you must name this folder a code name that you will remember, and it must be 8 characters long. It can have numbers. It probably should not have any special characters. It probably should not have the word content in it. Content is kind of reserved for what Frontier adds. You don't want to break stuff. So we are going to name it an 8-letter name for the Malaysian tiger, which is what we are making here, Malayan tiger. So I am going to go MALTIGER, and then I'm going to make sure that that is 8 letters. It should be. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. All right, we now have our folder here. Now I'm going to use the Jaguar file data to build this. Now, we do have tiger data in here in content 0. We're not going to use that because content 0 has everything for the game in it. Every asset for the game that's not from a DLC is in content 0. It would be an insane amount of data to comb through, to scrub through, to try and just extract just the Bengal tiger files. We're not going to do that. We are going to cheat and use our content 2 South America pack assets. So first up, you're going to grab in here, in content 2, the manifest, the main, the init, and the asset packages. We're also going to be using the animals, localized, and UI, but we're not going to get those quite yet. So we're going to copy these. Don't cut them, don't accidentally delete them because then you'll break your South America DLC. Don't want that. Come into your MalTiger folder and we're going to paste. To get started, we're going to start with our manifest. I'm going to get my UUID generator up here. I'm going to copy this one. You know what? Actually, I'm just going to refresh the page because that's been up for a while. I'm going to copy this new one. We're going to come into here. We're going to right click on manifest and we're going to go edit with Notepad++. Where it says content 2, you're going to change that to the name of the new folder that you just created, which is MalTiger. And then here we're in the ID field. We're going to come in, we're going to select the entire ID, and we're going to paste in the new one. Going to go here and we're going to change all the lowercase to capitals. Not entirely certain if this is 100% necessary, but we do it anyways. Jesse says to do it, so we do it. F, case B, A, C, and A. All right, our manifest is done. This ID has to be unique and it has to be a valid UUID. Otherwise, bad things will happen. So we'll go ahead and save that and close it and close out of Notepad. So I'm going to pull this so I can see it like this. Okay, next up, we're going to make two folders in here. One is going to say Init, and the other is going to be named Main. We're going to start with our Init. I'm going to grab my Cobra tools, which are over here, that I've gone ahead and saved onto my desktop. You can save them wherever you like, just know where they are because you're going to be navigating to them a lot. So I'm going to open the Cobra tools. The one you're going to use, it says OVL tool, OVL underscore tool underscore GUI.py. It's going to open up, it'll say that, just click OK. It looks like this. Yours may look slightly different because the tool is being constantly updated. The one that I am using is the stable version. The newest version might be slightly different. So you go, first up, we're going to open our Init OVL. Go File, Open, navigate to your OVL data, into your new mod folder, and then select the Init. Now I'm immediately going to open a new OVL. This clears the cache and prevents errors. So we're going to open the main, now I'm going to reopen the Init. So what I'm going to do here, make this a little bit bigger so that we can see it. We're going to delete stuff out of the Init that we don't need. So animal species, animal header, animal species Zoopedia, animal thumbnails. We have to keep these. These are essential. We're going to get rid of blueprints. We're going to get rid of everything that says capuchin monkey. We're going to get rid of all of these glass panels, enrichment items, flowers, plants, giant anteater, everything here down to jaguar. Because we're using the cat files, we want to keep the jaguar files. Everything else in here, llama, plants, red-eyed tree frog, path features, sculptures, wall sets, trees, can all go. We want to keep our Zoopedia maps. So go ahead and delete all of those. And I want to be able to see my command prompt, just because I like to see it and make sure it's not kicking any errors. Okay, so your init should now look like this. Now we are going to save it. So make sure you're in the right folder. It's very easy to accidentally save over the wrong OVL. I've done it. I've ruined a couple of my mods and had to download them off of the Nexus to be able to use them again. So don't do that. So go ahead and save it. Open the main. We always close and reopen an OVL before we go to the next step. This clears the cache. If you don't do this, it'll kick errors and it'll break your mod. So we open the main. Then we reopen the init. Okay, and it didn't kick an error, so we did everything right. Now we're going to hash the init. So we are going to hash content2. So in this field, where it says this is the old field, type in content2 lowercase. We are going to change content2 to the name of the folder that we created, which is Mal Tiger. So 8 letters, or 8 characters, 8 characters. Lowercase, lowercase. Do not hash uppercase letters. Your mod will break. To hash, you can either go to Edit and Hash, or press Control H. And as you can see, every instance of content2 has now changed to Mal Tiger. Now we are going to hash Jaguar. So Jaguar, lowercase, becomes, now, we now need to make a code name for our new animal. It has to be the same number of letters as the animal you're replacing in the files. So Jaguar is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters. I am going to call this M Tiger. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tiger is 5 letters, adding the M for Malayan gives us M Tiger. So that is what our animal is going to be called in the files. This is not the name that is going to appear in the game. That will be created when you do the lock OVL with which is where you define the animal name, the species name, the tags, and all that. This is just the code name in the files that we use to make it work. So again, Control H, Jaguar now becomes M Tiger. Now we save the init. Save, yes. We're going to open the main. We're going to open the init. We're going to come over here into our MalTiger folder. We're going to open the init folder that we just created. We're going to come into here, Control A to select everything. Click, drag it into that init folder. Now everything has been extracted into here. Go ahead and close your OVL tools because we don't need them right now. I like to frequently close and reopen the tools, just helps clear the cache. So with all of these these asset package files selected, hit Edit with Notepad++. Go to Search and Replace. And we are going to replace content2, uppercase this time, with MalTiger, uppercase. And then replace in all open documents. This is the advantage of using Notepad++. You can do this stuff all at once instead of having to edit each individual file. So replace in all open documents. And we've replaced 18 occurrences. So that is every occurrence of content2 now says MalTiger. We're going to do the same thing for Jaguar. Going to change that to imtiger. And replace in all open documents. 9 occurrences were replaced. So now as we click through here, you can see, so imtiger mail asset package, MalTiger, imtiger. So all of that is correct. You just click through, make sure everything looks good. Everything looks really good. Go ahead and hit Save All to save all of the open files, and then Close All to close all of the open files at once. Open the OVL tool again. Open the init. Open the main. Open the init. Now we're going to inject our edited asset package files back into our init. So with them still selected, click, drag, drop them in. And over here on the side, in the command prompt, it says injecting, and it shows you what you've injected, and everything has gone correctly. So now we save the init. The init is now done. We don't have to touch it again. Go ahead and close the OVL tool. Go back into our folder. Now we're going to do the main. So we're going to reopen our tool. We're going to open the main. We're going to open the init. And then we're going to reopen the main. Okay, the main is open. I like to sort it by name. So we are going to hash the main. We cannot delete anything out of this one. It doesn't work. Over here on the side where it says path, should only have asset packages extra list and audio. If there are other paths in here, you will delete them just by clicking on here and then pressing delete. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to break my main. Once you've deleted the extra paths that aren't needed, you would then save the main, reopen the main, and then go to this step. Because we're using content 2, we don't have to do that. Content 3 is the same way. If you're using content 1, content 4, or content 5, you will have to delete the extra paths. Now, we are going to hash content 2, hit the right letters, to MalTiger. Again, Control H, and now we're going to hash Jaguar to imtiger and hash. Now we are going to trash all the rest of the files that we don't need. So everything else in here that we can't delete, we're just going to give it a trash name so that the game no longer recognizes it. The way you trash your files out is you're going to hash generally the first 4 letters, but any 4 letters out of the name to something nonsensical. A lot of people like to use something that kind of calls to their whatever social media name they use. Nicholas Linewriter uses Lion. For example, I use LevW for Level Wolf. So we're going to get started. So LevW, we're going to now hash the first 4 letters of Capuchin to get rid of it. So CAPU, hash. Next up, challenge. So CHAL. Database. don't hash database. You can't do, seriously, don't hash the database. You'll break stuff. So leave database alone. Default, so DEFA, Fran, GIAN, curb you can leave alone. For some reason, this one you don't actually have to change it. I don't know why, but we don't have to change that one, so we don't. Llama, so LLAM. We have, up next is our FDBs. So these have already been hashed when we hashed the content too. So we're going to leave these alone. These are very important. At least 4 of them are very important. The rest we're not going to bother with. So we'll scroll down past here. I always like to hash stuff that I'm looking at. And so I can actually make this larger. Just to be able to kind of see some more here. So next up will be rail. Red E for red-eyed tree frog. SA_G. Scroll down until we get to some unhashed stuff again. SCIN for scenario. All right. Take a look. I do believe that is everything. Just want to look, scroll through, make sure everything is good here. So it looks all correct. So we will go ahead and save it. And we're going to save the main. Now we're going to open the init to clear the cache. We're going to reopen the main. You must close and reopen your OVL between each step. I just want to reiterate that. If you don't, your mod is going to break. So we've reopened that. Next up, we are going to find our, actually we're going to come over into our MalTiger folder here. We're going to open our main folder. Now we're going to drag out our databases. For content 2, there is only 2 databases. For the other content folders, there are more, sometimes many more. You'll do this for all of them. So we drag our databases over here. Now we are going to sort by file type, which actually I should have done with the databases, but it's fine because there's only the 2. We are going to drag out our FDB files. These are our big database files where all the information lives. We only need 4 of them, so we're going to get animals, education, research, and Zoopedia. So take those, drag them over. Now we're going to come over here. We're going to sort this by file type. We're going to get rid of the bin files. So select the bin, delete the bin. Same thing with the LUA meta. We don't need them. So LUA meta, delete those. Now we're going to leave that alone for a second. We're going to do one more step here in the main. We're going to open the init. We're not going to save anything on this step, but we're going to open the init. We're going to reopen the main. Now we're going to drop the DAT. Again, so this Cobra tool, it has DAT edit built into it. I don't trust the built-in DAT editor, so I manually drop the DAT. So click Save DAT, and then unclick Save DAT. Now go ahead and close your tools. Go back to the main folder for the MalTiger. You now have this file here, which is main OVL_static.dat. This you're going to open with your hex editor. When you're opening this for the first time, you're going to need to go open with and then navigate to hex editor, whichever one you're using. It should be the one that I've specified. Once you've done that, it'll always open with that. It opens and looks like this. This looks like a big mess and looks like might as well be looking at Greek here, so we're not going to mess with anything in here. We're going to go search and replace. And we are going to replace capital content 2, so capitalized here, with MalTiger capitalized. And we're going to go replace all. Occurrences replaced 497. Hit OK. Do it again. Search and replace. I do the lowercase as well. Content 2. replace that with lowercase Maltiger. Sometimes there are one or two instances of a lowercase in here. Not always, but occasionally. So replace all. In this case, there were no occurrences. That's good. So we're going to do this again for the animal name. So jaguar, capitalized. Tiger, capitalized. Replace all. 499 occurrences replaced. Hit OK, and then do it again for lowercase. Lowercase jaguar, lowercase tiger. And replace all, so 0 occurrences. In that case, we didn't have any. I believe with content 3, at least with the dingo assets, there are a couple of instances of lowercase, so that's why I do it this way. Once you've done that, save it. You can close out of your hex editor now. Open your OVL tool again, reopen the main, open the init, reopen the main. Now we are going to save our DAT that we just created. So we're going to hit this Use External DAT. Down here it brings up a new dialog box. Click on the folder icon. Navigate to your new species folder, so the Maltiger folder. Click on main.ovl, static, open. Now go ahead and save the main. All right, so that is all done. Uncheck Use External DAT. Make sure you uncheck that because you can accidentally save your main DAT into your asset packages or something, and then you just have to redo it, and you don't want to do that. So now we are done with the main for the moment. We're going to close that. We're going to come back into here. We're going to go back into our main folder. We are now going to do our LUAs. So edit with Notepad++. I'm going to do a search and not a find. I'm going to do search and replace for content 2. Replace that with Maltiger. And I'm going to take a drink of water because my throat's all scratchy. Okay, so content 2 replace with Maltiger, replace in all open documents. Release 64 occurrences. Now you can see what it did over here. All of this is now Maltiger. So I want to start in this one. This one is fine. We don't need to do anything to it. For the other DLC packs, you will need to do stuff in here, which actually I probably should have picked a different one, but it is what it is. I will do a second tutorial showing you how to actually do that, or I'll put it in the write-up. So this one is the big database LUA. So for this one, we're going to delete out the extra stuff that we don't need. We only need animals, education, research, and Zoopedia. So everything else in here, from exhibits down to blueprints, we get rid of, remove the space. Get rid of all this extra code from park down to rides and remove the space. Now what we've done up here at the top, we're going to do down here in this section. So same thing, exhibits down to blueprints, and then from paths to rides. All right, this is done. Go ahead and save all open documents. Again, this one doesn't look like we have to do anything into it, and then we'll close them. So those are finished. Next up, we're going to start on the databases. This part takes the longest. This is where you need your SQLite Studio. We're going to start with Zoopedia. So when you first open this up, you will have to go open with and then navigate to don't use DB browser. Don't use DB browser, but then navigate to your SQLite Studio. Tell your computer that you always want to open this file type with that. Open. And we're going to get started changing the jaguar into the Malayan tiger. Now, I say we're changing it, we're not replacing the jaguar though. We are actually adding a completely new animal in. So we're going to start in this one with species. We're going to add a new line to this. We're going to take the jaguar data, we're going to copy it, we're going to paste. Then we're going to change the name jaguar to tiger. And we're going to change content to base game, because I don't think you should have to buy the South America pack to have a Malayan tiger. If anything, you should have to buy the Southeast Asia animal pack, but I'm not going to make you do that either. If I were making, say, like a Wanako off of the llama, yeah, I might then say you should have to have South America for that, because those animals are very similar. They're found in the same region of the world. In this case, we're just using the Jaguar data as a stand-in for, or as a base to work off of to make our new tigers. So now that we've made our changes, we come up here to the green check mark to commit it. If you have made a mistake, use rollback to get rid of it, but we're going to commit. So now we've added a new line. We cannot yet remove these. We will come back and do that in a moment. So first we're going to go to barrier requirements. I'm going to add a new line, copy the Jaguar data, paste the Jaguar data, change the name to our new species, and now hit the red minus to delete these extra rows. So now we just have our Malaysian tiger data in here. I'm leaving it the same as the Jaguar for basically everything. There's only a few instances where I'm actually going to change it. Classes, we're going to leave that alone for a minute. Conservation statuses, we're not going to touch that. If you wanted to add a new status, you could, but this has all the ICUN statuses currently. Content packs, we're going to leave that alone. We're going to come down into species average stats. Now, families, genre, and orders, we will actually be changing in a moment. We're going to start with our average stats. So we're going to take a new line, take the Jaguar data, paste, change to M Tiger. I've never messed with any of this. It doesn't actually seem to affect anything. It probably does, but I don't know. I haven't noticed it, so I don't change it. So we'll remove the extra data that we don't need. We'll go into fun facts. Every animal has 5 fun facts. We're going to add 5 new lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take the Jaguar fun facts, copy them, paste them down here. Change the name to M Tiger. Now, instead of going through each individual line and changing the dropdown, you can just copy the name and then select the next ones and paste. A little bit quicker way to get through these databases. This is the long and tedious part here. So everywhere where it says Jaguar, I'm going to copy, or I'm going to paste M Tiger over it. I find at this point doing the files for the new species takes me about an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on just about how much, and that assumes everything goes right. Your first mod will not go right. Your first mod will crash your game. Your first mod will break stuff. It's all right. It took me about, I want to say 7 or 8 tries before I got my first mod, which was the New Guinea Singing Dog, correct, before I even got it to appear in game and not crash anything. So now that I've made all of those changes, I'm going to go ahead and hit commit. Now I'm going to come in and remove all of these. So this time it let me do it. In other databases, there will be data in this species fun fact unit data that you have to change before you can remove the other fields. In this one there isn't though, which is nice. So add a new line, copy the Jaguar data, paste the Jaguar data. You can just change the dropdown. I prefer when the animal whose data we're grabbing is in like the middle of the stack that I just make a new line, because that way I can just come down, remove, and then commit. Now, this is some of our Supedia data, so you want to make sure that you have this correct. Malaysian tiger, it is, the class is Mammalia, order Carnivora, family is Felidae, species, the genus Panthera. That's all correct. However, the conservation status, near threatened. Are they near threatened? I don't think that they are, so let's grab our Google here and let's go with Malayan tiger. And as you can see, I've searched that quite a few times already. We want to take a look here on Wikipedia. Wikipedia is your best friend for this. It's not 100% accurate because remember, it's just, anybody can edit this. But given here, the ICUN status is critically endangered. So we're going to make that the change here. We're going to change where it says near threatened to critically endangered. And if you want to, oh, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. You can pull your, you can make your cells wider so you can see the full name. So conservation status, critically endangered, commit that change. Unit data. We have some Jaguar data in here. Because this is at the top of the stack, I'm just going to go ahead and change them all to mtiger. I'm not going to change any of this data. I don't think it actually makes a difference. Go ahead and commit that change, remove the extra data, and then I like to click through and see if there's any other instances of our other species lurking in here. Now go to classes. We don't have an amphibian anymore, so we don't need amphibia. We do need mammalia because our new animal is a mammal. If it's a reptile, you'll change it to reptilia, and then if it's bird, it'll be aves. Content packs, we're going to leave them families. We need Felidae. So I'm just going to remove everything that doesn't say Felidae. And then in genre, we're going to remove everything other than Panthera. And orders, we're going to remove everything that's not Carnivora because we don't need it anymore. We don't want to leave extra unneeded data laying around in these files because it might cause trouble. It probably won't, but it might. So now we've done all of these other tables, we can now come in here and we can remove the original South America pack animals, leaving just our Malayan tiger. So remove, commit, and it let me commit the change, which means we've successfully scrubbed all that extra data out. Close the database, because we're done with that. Next up is research. I hate this database so much. I'd rather do 1,000 animal FTBs than this one, but we'll get it done. We're going to come in here, we're going to add a new line. So you start in this one with animal data. Jaguar, copy it, paste, change the name to mtiger. Jaguar has 7 research levels, so we're going to keep that. You could technically add more if you wanted to, though I don't know why you would want to. Now, we have a bunch of stuff in here in breeding pack, education pack. We're not going to deal with any of this right now. We're going to come into research pack data, and there's a ton of stuff in here. Every animal has 12 entries, so we're going to make 12 new fields. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So you should be at 79, at least for the South America DLC. Come in, grab all the Jaguar stuff. So from Zoopedia 1 down to Supplement 2, copy all of it, paste all of it. Now, come into the middle column that says animal type. Change Jaguar to mtiger. Copy the name, paste the name all the way down. Then over here, paste everywhere it says Jaguar. Paste over it with mtiger. And this is where it starts to get tedious. And we'll get those last 2 switched over to mtiger. Now, you may want to just go and commit this change. However, you can't yet, because right here, research pack ID has to be changed to something unique. So what I'm going to do is actually, I'm just going to grab Google here, open up a new tab and go random number generator. And I've used this bunch, so it's right at the top. Random.org/strings. And I want a 5-number string or 5-character string. There we go. And yeah, that'll work. Copy. We'll come back into here and I'm going to paste that number. Now I like to do these in sequence, so 7, 1, 71052 71053 71054, and make sure when you're doing yours that your numbers are unique. That's why I like to use the random number generator. If they're not unique, one, you won't be able to commit your change, and two, if somebody else has the same numbers in their mod, your mod will be incompatible with theirs, and that's a pain to figure out. It's pretty rare that that would happen, but it could. And you also like to use kind of a random number because that way your mod won't get overridden by the next DLC that comes out from Frontier, because you can bet they're not gonna check every mod to make sure that their numbers are unique to what we're doing. 6.2, okay. All right, so those are done. Now, go ahead and commit that change. So it accepted it. That means all those numbers are valid. Next up, research item data. So we have, for the Jaguar, we have, looks like 8 levels of vet research. So we're going to come in and we're going to copy those 8 levels, and then we are going to add 8 new fields down below. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Paste in the Jaguar data. Change where it says Jaguar to Tiger. Copy. Paste. And everywhere it says Jaguar, we just paste the name. Again, tedious. Very tedious part. And then over here where it says species image Jaguar, we're going to change Jaguar to Tiger. Now, because all of these are the same, you can just grab this entire name, copy it, not paste it, now paste it. There we go. So species image Tiger. Again, we have research item ID, same as the research pack. We have to have unique numbers. So I'll just grab something again here. Yeah, that'll work. Copy. Paste. And again, I like to go in sequence, but I don't think that you actually have to. It just has to be random. 387114, 87115, 87116, and 87117. All right. We will try to commit the change. It accepted it. That's good. So now we can come in here and we can delete all of this. All of that's gone. Now we're going to come into breeding pack stat changes. We're going to add 2 new lines. We're going to copy the Jaguar data. There's 2 levels for breeding. We're going to paste that. Now we're going to change in the drop down to our Malayan Tiger breeding 1. I don't try to just change the name here because this table doesn't like that. It'll revert back to Jaguar frequently and just cause frustration. So it's just easier to find it in the dropdown, commit the change, then remove, and then commit that change. So that one's done. Disease data, we don't have anything in here. Sometimes there will be stuff in here. Same with disease pack. If there's anything in there, you'll change it to match your new species education pack. We have some in here, so we have 3 levels. We're going to copy, paste, and again, just use the drop down to find our Malayan Tiger education. And 3. Okay, commit that change, remove, and commit that change. Facilities, leave alone. Research category data, leave it alone. Research pack data. Now, we can come in and we can remove this. We couldn't remove this stuff before because the education and breeding was being called in the breeding and education tables. Now that data's gone, we can get rid of it, hopefully. Yes, okay, it worked. Sometimes it doesn't, it'll pop up a red error and it just won't let you do it. Research types, we're gonna leave that alone. Staff, we're gonna leave that alone. Okay, go to animal data. Remove the base animals. We're just left with our Malayan tiger, so that's perfect. We are now done with research. Let's go to education. For here, we're going to start in educational content types. We're going to make a new line. We're going to copy the Jaguar data. We're going to paste the Jaguar data. We're going to change Jaguar to mtiger. And where it says animal underscore Jaguar, we're going to change that to mtiger. We're going to commit that change. Now we've added our new animal into this pack. So we're going to go up to the top. I always like to start at the top and go down. In this one, there's nothing in here. Sometimes there is. Content categories. We'll leave that alone. Research packs. We're going to add a new line, copy our Jaguar data, paste our Jaguar data. And change that to our Malayan tiger. And then where it says Jaguar, we're going to do mtiger. We're just going to copy that name to make this easier. And change that to mtiger and mtiger. There we go. And we can get rid of the other ones. Education source types, there's nothing in here. Info board materials, there's nothing in here. In some packs, there will be info board material in here. You can tell it to point to an info board if you want something like for this, like you could tell it to point to the Jaguar info board if you just want to have something displayed there. Not as big of a deal anymore now that we have custom billboards. And there's nothing in anything else. We'll come back to educational content types and we will remove the South America animals. So we're just left with our Malayan tigers. That one is done. This one is the easy one. All right, next up is going to be the animals.fdb. So the animals FDB is the big one. And where you start in this one is the animal definitions field, or table. So we come in here, we add a new field, copy our Jaguar data, paste in the Jaguar, change it to mtiger. Copy that name. And then everywhere it says Jaguar, paste over, paste, and paste, and then one more. And then in this same table, if you changed the content pack requirement for your animal in the Zoopedia FDB, you have to also change it in this one. So we'll set that to base game. Commit that change. So now we've added our new species into here. Now we get to go through all of these. There's a lot, all of these, and switch Jaguar to Malayan tiger. Now these databases are why we don't use the content zero data, because imagine instead of having entries for 4 or 5 animals, you had entries for like 60. And in this database in particular, most animals have multiple entries per table. It would be just a giant headache. So we've changed everything Jaguar to mtiger and removed everything else. We're going to do that for every single table in here. Some of these, they don't have species data. They have other data. We're not going to change that. So juvenile and adult. Biome preferences. This is one where you get to define what kind of habitat, what kind of biome your animal likes. So I'm just going to add a couple of new fields down here. We're going to go to mtiger, and then we can set what type of biome they like. So they are definitely going to like the rainforest. Let's pull up our Wikipedia again though and take a look. So this is where we can kind of get You can get really specific. So let's look at habitat here. What kind of habitat do they like? So again, Wikipedia is your best friend here. It's not always great. We're gonna go with rainforest and savanna. I think that'll be fine. We'll commit that change. We'll remove everything else. Animal camera data. So we have a couple Jaguar fields here. Copy. I like to paste it just to make it easier so that way it's at the bottom. Change Jaguar to mTiger, remove everything else. Continent preferences. So this is where you define where your animal lives in the world. So Malayan tiger, they are from Asia. We just add a new field, and that is that simple. If you have an animal, like say you're making a mountain lion or puma, which is found in North and South America, you would add 2 fields for North and South America. Or an animal like some sort of bird that has, a wide range, Asia, Europe, Africa, you would add 3. Animal definitions, we're not going to change anything in there quite yet. Enrichment suitability. So this is where you define what sort of enrichment your animal likes to use. This is the toy enrichment, not the food. So what I do in this one is just take everything that doesn't say Jaguar, and there are a couple of random entries down here. Okay, so this is actually new. You can see they've added in since the Southeast Asia DLC dropped, the new enrichment for the Scots pine and the tamarind scratching trees. So we're gonna keep that. I need to actually go back into my other mods and basically all the other mods and add those in for those animals so that they can actually use the new enrichment. So we're gonna delete everything that doesn't say Jaguar, commit that change. Now we're just left with our Jaguar data. Change the first one to mTiger, copy the name, and then paste. Now the Malaysian tiger can use everything that the Jaguar can use. Exchange data. Here you set the rarity. Not 100% sure on what that actually does, so I just leave it alone. You could so I don't know if you go up or down to make an animal more or less rare, or what that actually does in the game. So again, I just leave it at whatever it is. Food preferences. So this is where you decide what does your animal like to eat and what are the levels of food available to it. So on the habitat gate in franchise, as you research the animal, you can give it better quality food, grade 1 through grade 3. This is where you set what that is. So, okay, so that didn't work for some reason. So as you can see here, I've accidentally pasted the wrong data in. So I'm just going to hit rollback to make that go away. We're going to copy the Jaguar data again. We're going to add a new field. We're going to paste. Okay, now it pastes the correct data. So for the Malayan tiger, we'll just get rid of this stuff here really quick. What do they like to eat? So processed meat, whole carcass, and then the supplement, we can actually change that to, whatever we want. But they have pretty much everything that the animals can eat in here. We're going to change that to whole carcass and bones. Sure. Tiger's leg. Oops. Okay, so you see what I did there? I deleted the row instead of committing the row. You do that sometimes. Just hit rollback, make that change again, and then click on the right button to commit it. If you accidentally delete a row that is important, you can go and add it back in. Maybe. Sometimes you have to restart your database and just get a fresh database and do it again, and that's not fun. So moving on, habitat requirements. This is a fun one where you get to define how much plants your animal likes. So min plant coverage, max plant coverage. This is where if the animal whose files you're stealing from happens to like a crazy tiny amount of plants, like the flamingo, well, you can change that. So the Jaguar likes minimum plant coverage of 0.01, max plant coverage of 1. So basically they want a lot of plants. And we're going to leave that. You know what? Actually, I'm going to change that to 0.4. So they have to have basically anywhere from 20% to 100% plant coverage. We're going to leave, or 25% to 100% plant coverage. So we'll commit that change. Go ahead and remove the other animals. So there are some other fields in here: min topography, max topography. Not sure what the topography does. You also have in here your temperature requirements. So minimum temperature 8, target temperature, which is what your desired temperature, and then the max temperature, and then a couple of other fields for max, higher temperature tolerable variance, and then dislikes rain, dislikes snow. This is a tropical animal, so it dislikes snow. We're going to leave that alone. You can totally customize and make your animal completely unique in this database. All right, moving on, animal interest rating. We're going to take our Jaguar data, paste. This is how badly do your guests want to see a baby Malayan tiger? How badly do they want to see a juvenile or an adult? So you can change that if you want. I usually don't. I just leave it at whatever it is. Interest, multipliers, leaving that alone. Name languages. So we're going to add in a new field for our Malayan tiger, and we want to give them Indonesian names. So we're going to change that to Indonesian. You can, now unfortunately there's no drop down with the list of names to pick from, or a list of languages to pick from. Some of them are kind of weird, like you wouldn't expect, like there is no like Swahili names, there are just African names, because African is totally a language and a country. You just kind of got to pick. There is a list somewhere. I know it's been shared in the modding Discord a couple of times. So if you go into the Discord, search in the Planet Zoo modding general, and then just search for languages, it should come up. All right, so Malaysian tigers, they will have Indonesian names. Purchase costs. We'll make them cost the same amount as the Jaguar. Change that over. And ready to be placed in game. We're going to keep that the same as the Jaguar. Again, not really entirely certain what this table does. We just need to change it to be, change it from Jaguar to Malayan Tiger. This one, we're not going to change anything. Start needs levels, has no data in it. We're going to leave it alone. If it doesn't have data, we're not going to worry about it. Talk participant data. So does the animal participate in the keeper talks? Sure, why not? They can do the same as the Jaguar. Taxonomic families. Not 100% sure what this actually does. You can change this field. Again, not really sure why, but yeah, you can change it. For some reason, the dingo files, in the dingo files, the dingo is set to taxonomic family dingoes. When I did my wolves off the dingo files, I changed it to wolves and wild dogs, and everything seemed to work fine. All right, terrain requirements. This is another fun one where you get to really customize your animal. So here, we're just going to paste in our tiger, remove everything else. Now, this is where you get to define how much long grass your animal wants, how much short grass your animal wants, how much sand, how much soil, how much rock, how much snow. All of that is right here. So for now, do we want full long grass for the tiger? So we're going to put that at 0. We're going to put that at 0.6. Sure, 0.6. We're going to put that at 0.7. Why not? Sand is fine. They can tolerate a little bit of sand, but not a ton. Overall soil, 0.2 to 1, that's fine. Rock is fine. Snow, they don't want any snow. We're going to leave all that alone. So you can get really, really detailed in here. Now, very interestingly, there are entries for coarse sand, fine sand, heavy soil, light soil, rough rock, smooth rock. I guess you could put data in there and see what happens. I've never done that. I'm going to commit that change. Go on to the next one, test data. We'll copy our Jaguar. Remove everything else. Theater parameters. Actually, don't need to do that. We'll just change mtiger, Jaguar to mtiger. Remove the others. Audio family names. Nothing in there. Audio per action call data. This one has been a perennial problem for a lot of people because it's not directly obvious that there is data in here that needs to be removed. So when you go to remove, go to animal definitions and go to remove these guys, you won't be able to because there'll still be data for them somewhere in these files, and it's probably in this one. And for some reason, the entries in here are lowercase, and I don't know why. So I'm just going to get rid of them. And none of them refer to a Jaguar, so we're not going to worry about it. Bedding stations, the Jetty platform, bedding station suitability. Do we want the Malayan tiger to use the Jetty platform? Sure, why not? So that's easy. Biomes, if you want to add a new biome, you could probably do that in here. Body mass is the next one. We're going to just keep the Jaguar data. I haven't messed with these fields, so I don't actually know what they do. Box data. So what size box does your animal arrive in the habitat in? Jaguar uses medium. We'll just keep it at, no, that's the wrong one. We're going to keep it at medium. I'm going to change Jaguar to mtiger. There we go. And we'll get rid of everything else. Box data enum. We're not going to change anything in there. Cheat variables. This is your MegaB value. So Jaguar is 0.01 or 0.1. Most animals are. Some of them are a little bit different. I'm just going to keep it as 0.1 so that way it doesn't totally break if you do use the MegaB cheat. Color morph data. So this is your color morph. This is your albino color morph. For the Jaguar, it's the melanistic, but the game still refers to it as albino. So this is set at 0.25% for the Jaguar. So a quarter of the time, your Jaguars are going to be melanistic. For most animals, it's 0.025. I'm just going to leave it at 0.25 for now. That way, we'll be able to spawn in the white variant fairly regularly. I'll probably come back in and edit that back to the base game value. Maybe I'll just leave it at 0.25 and then you'd be able to get a white tiger in your sandbox game easier. This one, color morph data in the content 0. If you feel like editing content 0, you can raise the albino chance basically for up to 2.5. You can even set it to 1 if you wanted pure albinos all the time, although I don't know why you want to. So that way you can get more in your sandbox games. So color morph data, we're going to leave that alone. Content packs, leave that alone. Continents, you want to add Atlantis? All right, go ahead and add Atlantis. We're not going to mess with anything in there. Deep swimming action types, we're not going to mess with anything in there. We're just going to delete that. So the Jaguar has some deep swimming behavior weights, but they don't actually deep swim. I think they're going to give the Jaguar deep swimming at some point. They may give it to the Tigers too, which would be great, in which case we'll come back and edit that back in. But we're going to leave it alone for now. So this, we're just going to copy the Jaguar data in this one, paste it. This is our defecation data. So if for whatever reason you're making an herbivore from a carnivore base, you would then change herbivore to carnivore, but we're going to leave that alone. Desired gender ratios. So This is how many males, how many females can be in the habitat at the same time. And your max number. Jaguars are solitary, so are the Malaysian tigers, so we're going to keep that all the same. Population sizes. So how many animals can they have in the habitat at once? For the capuchin monkey, they can have up to 40. For the jaguar, they can have up to 2. We're going to keep that the same for the Malayan tiger. If you wanted to increase that or decrease that, you certainly could. Diseases has nothing in there. And disease selections has nothing in there. Sometimes there is. If there is data in any of these tables that says that references the animal you're replacing, you'll change it. Dung prefabs, leave that alone. Types, leave that alone. Enrichment, enum, we're going to leave that alone. Same with that one. Items, we're going to leave that alone. Now you can see this is the content to data, but Frontier's gone in and added in the new Scots pine and tamarind scratching trees. So those are now available to use. So enrichment offsets, this is another big one. So we're going to come in here and we're going to remove everything that doesn't say jaguar. And there's a couple of entries in here where the jaguar entries are kind of buried, so you want to kind of go carefully through here. I'm holding control to multi-select the different ones, leaving just the jaguar. And we're going to remove everything that's not jaguar related. This is mtiger, copy the name, paste it all the way down. There we go. So these are its different animation offsets, basically how far away it is from the item that it's playing with or eating. Commit that change. If you're making an animal significantly larger or smaller than your base animal, you may have to mess with that. Leave that alone. This one we have jaguar data, we'll change it to Malayan tiger data. Enrichment requirements. So this one is how much enrichment does your animal require. We're just going to keep it the same as the jaguar. I think it uses the same as the rest of the big cats. I'd have to open content 0 FDB to take a look and make sure, but it seems to work fine for my modded cats, so we're just going to leave it. Escape data. This is, do guests flee from an escaped animal? Like for the capuchin monkey, no, they really don't. For the jaguar, yeah, they run away. We'll keep that the same for the tiger. Remove feeding stations. That's the different feeding stations. Feeding station suitability. This is what can the animal eat out of. So again, it's kind of a long one, so I'm just going to go through and remove everything that doesn't say jaguar. Interesting, they've added the block of frozen fish for the jaguar. And that's a new, from the 1.5 update, the new food enrichment. So we'll just copy Malayan tiger, paste it all the way down. Fertility data, this is how easy are they to breed and what age do they become infertile. This is also your, you wanted to change their litter size, make them have more or less babies. You do that in this field here. So we're just going to copy, paste, jaguar to mtiger, and we're just going to leave everything else alone. Fight age threshold, so what age do they start fighting with each other? We're going to leave that the same as the jaguar, which I think is the same for the other big cats. Fight data, sometimes there's data in here, you'll change it if there is. Ragdoll method, not really sure what that does, but we're going to leave it the same as the jaguar. And what I'm doing here in this FDB, the animals FDB, is I'm doing pretty much a quick and dirty edit, just getting all the data changed over to Malayan tiger. I'm not going to worry too much about the specifics because I can always come back in and edit that later. Once I've got the animal working in the game, kind of mess with them a little bit, watch kind of how they utilize their habitat, see if it's appropriate to the new animal that I'm trying to create, and change everything accordingly. So I'm not worrying too much about what's in this. Come on, there we go. what's in these fields, I just want to get it all changed over to Malayan tiger. So we've just finished with the G's, and this is all alphabetical. We have everything down to Z to complete, so all of these still have to be done. So like I said, these databases are tedious. We have a lot of them. So I'm just going to take everything that's not Jaguar, make sure there's nothing that says Jaguar in there, get rid of it, and change it over to Malayan tiger. Okay, interspecies action data. Basically, is it a predator animal or a prey animal? And you can change that in here if you needed to. And then, is it passive or aggressive? Now, very interestingly, in Content 4 with the Aquatic Pack DLC, the giant otter is listed as a prey animal and passive instead of the predator that it should be, because those things are predators. Saw a video today on Reddit of one taking out a juvenile spectacled caiman, and it was epic. Why did you not like that? Okay, so we're going to, I think I pasted the wrong data here, so we're gonna roll back that change. We're gonna add a new line. We're gonna copy the Jaguar data again. We're gonna copy the Jaguar data again, paste it in. Okay, now that's correct. And we'll get rid of that. So at some point, all these databases kind of start looking the same. It starts kind of blurring together. If you make a mistake, just make sure you roll back the change and don't accidentally commit it. Paste the Jaguar data. This is the longevity data, so if you want to make your animal live longer or die sooner, you can do that in this this table right here. Not sure what that does. I just don't touch it. Add a new line. Copy the Jaguar data. Remove everything else. Navigation worlds. This is, I'm not entirely certain what this does, but it's pretty important, so I'm not going to mess with it. I do know that this has to do with, I believe actually this is hitbox data right here. I want to say that this is hitbox data. Again, not 100% certain, so I'm not going to change anything in here. I did verify at one point that the Jaguar and the tiger, the Bengal tiger, they do use the same, all of this data is the same, so it won't act weird or anything in the habitat. Now, if you're using the files from an animal that is significantly different from the animal that you're going to be using the model and rig from, you may have to change this. And again, you have all of this in here. Yeah, this is gibberish to me, so I'm not going to touch anything in here. We're just going to move on. We're going to go to Jaguar, change to Malayan tiger. So for that other one, what you would do is, if your file animal that you're using is significantly different, you would go into the Content 0 database, find the animal that you are using for the rig, basically write down write down the data from that one, and then make your change in the navigation worlds. It should work. I actually have not done that, so it should work. But you know, this is a process. This is a learning process and a process of exploration. Remember, a month ago we couldn't do this, so this is really new. We're finding out new things all the time. Like we just recently found out we can actually make a brand new init folder, a completely new init OVL, and it will take it. Oh, and that Planet Zoo will also accept a Jurassic Park Evolution OVLs, which is crazy. All right, size data. This is how big the animal is in game. So minimum scale for male, max scale for male, min scale female, max scale female. For some reason, the Jaguar is exactly the same. However, male and female jaguars are not exactly the same in game. The Jaguar size data is weird. We're still going to go ahead and use it, at least for now. This is one that I come back in and play with quite a bit when I'm trying to get the animal to be the right size. Size measurements, leave that alone. Sleep variables, copy, paste. Social behavior settings, so this is, does species herd? So do they move in a group? Do they form pack? Does it follow, does the baby follow the mother? Does the animal follow the father? Do they follow the keeper? So do they follow the keeper around the exhibit? Yeah, you can change all of that to whatever your new species requires. We're just going to keep it the same as the Jaguar. Social enrichment data. All right, this is where you define if your new animal likes to share its habitat with another species. Now, only use base game or DLC animals for this. You can make your, say you're making a new monkey and you want it to share, you want it to have enrichment with a capuchin. Okay, cool, you can do that. Don't use modded animals though in this. We found that that doesn't work because if someone downloads your mod but does not have the other mod installed, their game will crash. So for this one, Malayan tiger can't share its habitat with anything else because it would eat it. So we're just going to remove all that. Social interaction parameters. This is, yeah, seems to be how much they play and all that. Go ahead and keep it the same as the Jaguar here. Again, this one, I've never messed with the values in here to make it do different things. You could totally do that and see what happens. See if it breaks. Space requirements. This is how much habitat space does your animal require. So minimum space. Capuchin monkey, this is 210 square meters. Jaguar requires 688. I think we'll keep that. That's fine. You can always come back in and edit these later as well if it seems inappropriate or too big or whatever. Also in here, space per additional animal. Aquatic space per additional animal. Tigers like to swim. We'll give them some water. We'll make it so that they want water, which is fine. Minimum aquatic depth. How deep does the animal need the water to be? Minimum shelter. Uh, minimum climbing. Climbable space per additional animal. So this one, you can really define the specific habitat requirements for your new animal. So we'll remove the old data. Minimum deep swimming. So does your animal require deep swimming? And deep swimming space. So how much deep water does it need? Color morph data. We don't have anything in there. We're going to copy our Jaguar data for this one. This looks like our disease values. So we're going to, the Malayan tiger can get all the same stuff that the Jaguar can get, just to be easy. If I wanted to get really, really specific, I could pop open the Content 0 OVL, check what diseases the Bengal tiger can get, and change this accordingly. Species and Noom. This is very, very important. We're going to make a new field. We're going to select our Malayan tiger. We're going to come back to our random number generator. I'm going to grab a random number out of here. I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to paste it in. There we go. This has to be a completely unique number. It can't be anything the same as what's in here. It can't be anything that's the same as something in the base game or another DLC pack. I try not to go higher than like 5 values in here just because you can get into like infinite strings and break stuff. But 5 seems to work well. 4 to 5 is usually what I go for. And I use the random number generators to make sure everything is completely unique. If your modded animal accidentally shares an enumeration value with another modded animal or a base game or DLC animal, then, well, your mod will break. All right, explore type weight. So how much time does it spend walking around exploring its habitat? How much time does it spend climbing? How much time does it spend swimming? This is new. How much time does it spend wading? That's fun. How much time does it spend deep swimming? How much time does it spend exploring the shore? So again, another table where you can really customize your new animal. I'm going to leave it the same as the jaguar. Actually, I'm going to come in here and yeah, no, that's fine. It can climb a little bit. 0.01, and then I'm going to change the swimming requirement down to 0.2, so it doesn't spend as much time swimming as the jaguar, but it does still want to swim. Species specific needs modifier. So this is time till it's hungry, time till they're thirsty, time till they're dehydrated, how much sleep they need. Stress levels. Note that there is a typo in here, so confidant instead of confident. If you are manually typing in the stress parameters here, if you want your animal to be confident, make sure you don't accidentally not include the spelling error. So species that fight. Does the Malayan tiger fight when there's too many? Yes, they do. So we'll go ahead and change that. We'll keep all that data the same as the jaguar. Species with alpha. Do they have an alpha? They don't. So we'll keep all of that the same. You can change all these values if you want. Stress parameters. The jaguar is shy. Do we want our tiger to be shy? I think we're going to make our tiger neutral. You could also make it confident, but neutral seems to be well. Taxonomic families, so I'm gonna leave that alone. Temperament, passive or aggressive. I guess you could add a new one in there. I don't know why you would. Temperature bands, not gonna touch anything in there. Visual offset, that's just for the capuchin monkey. We're gonna get rid of that. Theater clear radii, not entirely certain what these do. Seems to be some different performable actions that it can do. I'm just going to keep it the same as the jaguar. I'm going to go through and get rid of everything that doesn't say jaguar because these entries are really spread out in this table. So we're going to get rid of everything that doesn't say jaguar, remove it, commit that change. Change to Init tiger. There we go. Trophic levels. I have no idea what those are, so I don't touch them. Tweakables, again, don't touch them. Viewing distance modifiers, so how far away can they be seen from? We'll keep that the same as the jaguar. That's the same as all the big cats. Visual variation. So how much visual variation do they have? We're going to keep our jaguar data. So the color morph 0 is our albino, and then these other values are for the shader variations. Some of these are more pronounced than others depending on the species. And visual variation types. And that has no data in it. Okay, now, hopefully we are done with the animal FDB database. Let's find out. So we go back to animal definitions. We select the 4 base game or 4 DLC animals, leaving just our new animal, in this case our Malayan tiger, in here. We're going to remove, and then we're going to commit. Okay, so this happens, and this happens a lot. I can't, because these turned red and it kicked some errors down here, it means that I can't remove these because there's still data for those animals lurking somewhere in this database. And I'm actually glad that this happened because this will happen to you a lot. So the way we fix it is we start at the top, click through, and just look for any uncommitted data. So if that green check mark is lit up, that means you didn't commit this table. So go ahead and commit it if you find it, or look for the data for the capuchin monkey, the anteater, basically just look for those other animals. They are lurking somewhere in these fields. So either missed a table or forgot to commit some data. We'll see. Oh, there's one way to test and see if you have uncommitted data, which is you try to close the database. So let's see. Okay, so right now it tells me table window animal definitions has uncommitted data. Okay, we know that. So I don't want to quit. We'll hit no. So unfortunately, that means I don't have any uncommitted data lurking anywhere else. Otherwise, it would have told me that, which means I just forgot to change something somewhere. So this is now the long process of just clicking through each one until we find it. And it's usually just something really stupid that I completely overlooked. Continents. So it will be somewhere in here. It just takes a while to find it. And it's usually one of these longer tables with a ton of data in it. That's committed. Yeah, that's been committed. It's in here somewhere. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so in these species anew, this is where these 4 entries here are what's preventing us from doing that. So we'll go ahead and remove those, commit that change. Now we'll go back to animal definitions and see if it'll take that. Oh, look, it did. Yay. Okay, so we're done. We are totally done with the animal FDBs. We're actually done with all the FDBs. So now we can move on. Go ahead and close that. You can see up here, it's writing all of those changes that we made. So give it a second because it's a big one. All right. Now open our Cobra tool again. Open our main. Open the init and open the main. Now we're going to take our LUAs and our databases and we're just going to inject them in. Now we're going to save the main. And now we're done with the main. We can close that. Go back to our main folder here, the MalTiger folder. Next up, we're going to do the asset packages. So we're going to reopen our tool. We're going to open asset packages. This one is a big one, so it takes a minute. Okay, we're going to open our init. We're going to open our asset packages. Now the asset packages is another one that can't have anything deleted out of it, but it's got a ton of stuff that we have to get rid of, so we have to hash it. So we're going to hash content2. Same thing we do with the main, we're going to hash it to MalTiger. Hash. Now we're going to hash Jaguar to mtiger and make sure I spelled Jaguar correctly and hash that. Now we're going to trash all the other files. So we're going to go levw and you use whatever code name you have. And we're going to start with blue. bush. Capu for capuchin. CZ underscore G, those are our glass panels. EN underscore B, that's the bobbin enrichment. EN underscore in. EN underscore S. EN underscore T. EN underscore is for all the enrichment items. FLOW for flour. FX underscore in. GIAN for giant anteater. GL underscore R, those are the glass roof pieces. HB underscore B, those are the hay beds. And now we're into the LevW stuff. So we'll scroll down until we find some unhashed data. And again, I like to always look at what I'm hashing. That way I don't miss anything. If you miss something, you can mess stuff up. All right, so llama, LLAM. All right, we're into our mtiger. So we do have one entry here for mechanic image. So hash mech. Scroll down past the mtiger to plants. So PLAN. You could hash more than 4 characters if you wanted to. It just seems like 4 is kind of a good. It's a good balance. If you do 3, you run the risk of hashing something important. So red underscore E. No, red underscore. Make sure you're always hashing the correct number. So 4 characters, 4 characters. I almost hashed 5 right there. May or may not break something. So red underscore for red-eyed tree frog. There is actually one other entry for red-eyed tree frog in here that doesn't include the underscore, so we'll have to get that one too. Rock. We'll go all the way down. SA underscore B. And I do wish this wouldn't jump up to the top, but it does. So SA underscore C. SA underscore D. SA underscore E. SA underscore F. Underscore L. P. We should be almost done here. R. S. T. W. We're just going down the alphabet pretty much. Okay, species image. We're not going to hash species because this stuff is important. However, here is this other entry for the red-eyed tree frog. So we're going to hash REDE to get rid of it. That one is done. Now we're going to scroll down thumbnail. Again, we do not hash thumbnail. The ones that needed to be hashed have already been hashed when we did the other species. We're going to leave those alone. We're going to go down to tree. Going to hash tree. All right. I think we are just about done. All right. We are done here. So we're down to Zupedia. Again, we're not going to hash that because that's important. If you are doing anything out of content 4, be careful. If you are hashing Diamondback Terrapin to something else, if you hash DIAM to get rid of diamond, you're also going to hash out your Zupedia map. So don't do that. Okay, we're going to save the asset packages. Already exists, yes. And now we are going to open our init, and we are going to open our asset packages. So that cleared the cache. So that's open again. We are now going to drop the dat and edit the dat on this one. So we're going to save dat, let it do its thing, and then untick save dat. We are going to close now our OVL tool. We're going to come into here. We're going to get our asset packages open in our hex editor again. Again, search and replace. Content 2, mal tiger. Replace all. Do that again for the lowercase. There probably won't be any, but I do it anyways just to be careful. It's really not fun to, it's really not fun to wonder why your mod isn't working, go through it, and then have to rebuild it from scratch because you missed something in the hex editing. So replace, we found 87 occurrences, and then we're going to do the lowercase jaguar as well. So this is the same thing we did to the main tiger. Replace all. All right, here we go. This is why we hash lowercase, because we had 3 occurrences of the jaguar in lowercase. We found those and we got rid of those. Save it, close it, reopen the Cobra tools, open the asset packages, open the init, open that again. I'm not entirely certain if we have to close and reopen the OVL when we're opening a new instance of the tools. I just do it anyways, just to be careful. It's kind of a ritual at this point. So click use external dat, find the dat that we just edited for asset packages, hit open, and then save the asset packages. Okay, now uncheck use external dat to make that go away. Okay, so we are actually ready to test this in game and see if this works. Before we do, however, we're going to go to another mod. I'm going to go into my Mexican Wolf mod. You can use any mod from any other modder. It doesn't matter who did it, because this file is all the same. We're going to copy the audio folder, the entire folder. This has a blank audio OVL in it. You have to have that to make this work. Otherwise, when you launch the game, it's going to hang on the Cobra screen. I don't know why, but that's just what it is. So paste it in. Now, if we've done everything right, we will be able to launch the game. We will be able to get into a zoo file that we have, and we will have a blank species. Once you get more proficient with the file process, you can actually skip this step. You don't actually have to check and see if it's there. You'll be able to just be fairly confident that it has worked. When you're just starting out learning this is a good point to check. Okay, hey, we didn't crash. We made it. Awesome. So that's a good sign. I'm just going to go straight into my mod test zoo. Always test your mods in a zoo you don't care about. Don't drop them into a zoo that's like your baby, especially if you don't have a good backup for it, because yeah, I mean you're messing with the files for the entire game. You could screw something up. Okay, now go to animal trading. So this is good. Actually, we've been able to load in. That means pretty much means we did everything right. But to check, we're gonna go to animal trading and look, we have a blank species in here. If we click on it, see, it doesn't have a species name. It does have the names, and the names do appear to be the correct language. Yay. If we go to Zoopedia, we have a blank Zoopedia, so we can see our changes here. You can see we don't have much data in here, but it is calling the tropical and grassland biome that we set. Species data, all of this is the stuff that we set. Now we have a whole bunch of blank stuff in here. We're going to do that in the lock OVL, which is what we're going to do next. So we are successful to this point. We're just going to quit the game. We don't need to save anything, and we'll get back into our files. And this happens sometimes. I don't know why at this point in the modding process, it's probably going to freeze on exit. You just do Control Alt Delete, Task Manager, and just force close it. There we go. All right, so we go back to our Mal Tiger here. Okay, so now we're going to go back to OVL data. We're going to go back to content 2, and we're going to grab the rest of the assets that we need. We're going to grab the UI folder. We're going to grab the localized folder, and we're going to grab the animals folder. We're going to copy these. We're going to come back into our Mal Tiger mod, and we're going to paste those in. Now we're going to start on the lock OVL. So we go to localized, I'm going to go to English and then United States because that's where I'm located. Whatever part of the world you are in and whatever language you use the game in. So if you're in Italy and you run the Italian language version of the game, you're going to do the Italian lock. I'm going to do the English one. If you're in the UK, you will do the United Kingdom lock. So we're going to go United States. I'm going to make a new folder in here that says lock, because that's going to be where we extract our lock files to. And we'll go ahead and open that. Now, we're going to open our OVL tool. Going to navigate to our lock OVL, and we're going to open that. So we have everything in here. I am going to very quickly open another one. For some reason, for me, the lock OVL doesn't always behave. I don't know why. Just not really sure. Now, the lock is one we can delete stuff out of, so we're going to do that. We're going to actually, no, I'm not going to do the quick and dirty way. So I'm just going to select the ones that we don't need, and we'll get rid of them. It's doing a bunch of stuff over here. Just let it do its thing. Don't mess with it too much. So we're going to get rid of the llama, red-eyed tree frog, blueprints, all of this stuff down here. And I'm going to do this in sections because it seems like if you delete massive quantities of files at a time, the tool can kind of freak out a little bit and just like go into not responding, and then that's not fun. So we're going to take all the building part stuff. There's a lot of building stuff in the Southeast Asia pack, or not the, what am I saying? In the South America pack. There's a ton of building stuff in here. So, okay, there's actually an easier way to do this. Type in the filter here, build. So there's all of our building stuff. Control A, delete. And then don't touch it while it's doing all of this over here. Just don't click on it. Just let it do its thing and finish. And because we're deleting a massive amount of files at once, it's going to take it a little bit. It kind of looked like it was in a loop there for a while. It wasn't. So now all the building stuff is done. Remove build from the field. So enrichment, family name, research hint, semantic flexicolor. We can just scroll down until we come to our tags. I like to do the tags individually. That way we don't miss anything. So go ahead and delete all of that stuff. Okay. Now, if we come back up, we have animal jaguar plural. Content pack rainforest. Get rid of that tag. Tag for South America, we don't need it. Capuchin monkey, giant anteater. Llama, rainforest, South America. Now, we have something very interesting here called the exclude search. I'm actually not going to use the exclude search. Never mind that. I'm going to just go through this and do this manually. So get rid of everything that says, we can actually do it this way. We can do llama in the field here. So everything that says llama, Control A, delete. We can do the same thing for giant, which is our giant anteater. Control A and delete. This just makes it much easier and much quicker. So pull that out so that we can see it. We'll do Capuchin. And red eye, red for the red-eyed tree frog. All right, so we are left with, should be just the Jaguar files left. There are actually going to be a couple fields in here that we're going to get rid of. So we have here zoo family Cebidae. We don't need that. Zoo family, whatever that is, we don't need it. If you have added a new family in the Zoopedia FDB, you would hash one of these to that new family name. Because the family Felidae is already present in the base game, we don't need to keep any of those. Same thing for the genus. Jaguar genus is Panthera. We already have Panthera in the game, so we don't need to keep any of these. If you have added a new genus, you would then hash one of these Zoopedia genus entries to that new one. Same thing with the order. Jaguar Malayan tiger order is Carnivora, so we can get rid of the order. If you've added a new order, yeah, you would add it. You would then add it in, or hash that to whatever that is. Okay, so we have deleted everything out of the lock that we don't need. We're now going to save the lock, and we're going to go to English, United States, and then lock. So now we're going to save. We are going to open another OVL to clear the cache. We're going to go back and we're going to reopen our lock again. Again, very important to do that close and reopen step in between each different thing that you do. So we've deleted, we closed and reopened. Now we're going to hash, and we're going to hash Jaguar to M Tiger, and we're going to hash. Now we're going to save it, and then we are going to close and reopen it by opening another OVL. Open, open. Okay, now that we've done this, we're going to come here. We have our lock folder, which is empty at the moment. We're going to come into here. We're going to Control A, select everything in here, and we're going to drag it out into this new folder. Now we're going to close the OVL tool because we don't need it for a minute. Now, as you can see, these are text files. These you can open in Notepad, you can open them in Word, you could open them in whatever. And if we click on each one, you can see over here in the preview pane, it just kind of tells you what's in it. So tag species, that's important. Right now, tag species still says Jaguar. I'm going to do what I call the quick and dirty method of editing these, because I'm not going to do the full Zoopedia right now. I just want to get the animal in the game and functioning. I'll worry about the details later, so I'm just going to edit these with Notepad++. I'm going to do search and replace, and we're going to search Jaguar. Now we're going to spell Jaguar correctly. Yay, my dyslexia is kicking in. I love it. We're going to replace Jaguar with Malayan tiger. And you would do this for whatever new species you have created. Replace in all opened documents. We have 7 occurrences of that. Now we're going to do the lowercase Jaguar. Malayan, being a place name, will always be capitalized, but in this instance, tiger will be lowercase. And we're going to go replace in all open documents again. Yeah, so I spelled Jaguar wrong. Okay, try that again. All right, 7 occurrences. Close, so that should work. So we'll go ahead and save all open documents. So you can see here it's replaced Malayan tiger with, or Jaguar with Malayan tiger. And it's kind of done some weird stuff where that didn't need to be capitalized, but it's because we hashed Malayan. Oh, good lord. Okay, yeah, so I spelled that wrong. Let's fix that. Let's try. Okay. My brain is not functioning right now, as we can tell. We'll replace that with Malayan and just fix that really quickly. Okay, that's better. So now we can we'll just do a save all on that, and we can click through. I'm not going to worry about any of this data right now. Just I want to make sure that the animal name is correct, the plural is correct, and the tag species is correct. So that is all correct. Gotta click through this. All of that I'm not going to worry about. Grade 3 climate proof. We can go ahead and change this continent. This is just a quick change. Asia. Save. The countries. We'll just Malaysia. Easy. I'm not going to worry about the description or anything like that. Fun facts. Not going to do the fun facts. Again, that's something we'll come in and change later when we be in the part 2. Scientific name, though, I'm going to go ahead and change. It's not hugely important right now. We're going to switch to Panthera tigris, Jacksoni, which is the most accepted scientific name for the Malayan tiger. And then there's that new study that came out that kind of indicates, I don't know, there's 2 trains of thought with tigers, whether there's 9 subspecies or there's 2. Not going to get into that right now. We're just going to leave it as Jacksoni for now. And that's fine, and that's fine. So our quick and dirty edit of the Zupedia, the lock OVL, which is mostly the Zupedia data, is done. So we're going to reopen our lock. Going to go through very quickly, open another lock, and open. And we're going to take these and we're going to inject them back in. Now we're going to save it. All right, the lock is done for now. If you want translations of your mod, so right now, this Malayan tiger will only show up in English. If you wanted to offer these files up for somebody else to translate, like into French or Spanish or whatnot, you can do that. There's translators available in the Discord who are more than happy to take this and translate it for you. You would just select all of these, send them to a compressed zip folder, and then upload that zip folder into the Discord. And someone would then download it, translate everything, and send it back to you. Great little community over in the Discord. It's awesome. So lock is done for now. Now, before we do that, I do want to point out one thing. Right now, this Malayan tiger will only work in the US English version of the game. If you're running UK English, Spanish, Italian, Polish, whatever, you'll just have a blank species in the game. Nothing will work. What you will do is you will copy this lock OVL. So you'll copy it. You'll come into, say, UK. You would then paste it. I'm not actually going to do that. You would delete what's already here and then paste the new one in. I'm not actually going to paste it because there's still a bunch of editing to do. You would then go through and do that for all of the other languages. What this will do is it'll allow the animal to show up for the other language packs. The text will be in English, but at least the animal will show up and be usable in the game. Once you get a translation of whatever language, you would then open up, say you got a Spanish translation, you would open up the Spanish lock, inject those translated files into that lock, you would then save it and then re-upload on the Nexus. Now, if you are somebody who's doing the translating, I wanted to point out something. Don't change the file names here. I know it's tempting to maybe change them, but if you pop open one of these other locks, you will see that even though the text inside the files is in whatever language that lock is for, the file names are always in English. Don't change them. The game won't know what to do with it. So we're done with the lock at this point. We're going to go to the UI. So the UI, this is where our textures live. This is where our Zupedia images and all that are located, our thumbnails, everything. So first up, there's some stuff in here that we don't need. We're going to get rid of blueprints. We're going to get rid of mechanic research and scenery. Now, we are going to rename these folders to our folder name. So content 2 we're replacing with MalTiger, just as we've done in the whole rest of the mod. Copy, paste, copy, paste, paste, and paste. So you only want to have, for an animal mod, you want to only have these 5 folders in here. So species, species header, Zoopedia thumbnail, and Zoopedia map. Now we come into here, we rename the OVLs. Paste our, so everywhere where it says content 2, we're replacing with our new folder name. Paste. And paste that. All right, so those are ready to go. Now we have to do basically the same thing in the OVLs themselves. Now we are going to open, we'll go back to our MalTiger folder, go into UI, Textures, Animal Species, and we'll start with the animal species. Now there's a bunch of stuff in here that we have to get rid of. First though, I always like to open another OVL and then reopen that OVL just to be safe so it doesn't kick any errors. Now these are texture files, so it's not as big of a deal. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to get rid of everything that doesn't say Jaguar. Now we're going to save. And we're going to save the UI. We always save and reopen between each step. So this is animal species. We're going to save animal species. This step, it's really easy to accidentally save over the wrong OVL. Don't do that. So save it. We're going to close it and open by opening another OVL. We're going to reopen that OVL again. Now we're going to hash Jaguar. Jaguar, dyslexia is kicking in strong today. MTiger. All right, that is hashed. Now we're going to save this one again. So it seems like a lot of steps, but they have to be done, and they have to be done in this specific order. You will break your mod if you go out of order on these steps. It's very important. What will happen is if you delete and hash in the same step, the OVL tool will kick errors into your files, and it can result in some pretty bad errors. Again, if it's a texture image, it might just be the wrong picture, but still, we want to get into the habit of always following these steps in the exact order. They're very tedious. I know it's tempting to try to skip ahead or to do multiple steps at once. We just can't do that. So again, I'm opening a new OVL to clear the cache, reopening that one, hashing, and then saving again. All right, next up is our Zoopedia image. So this is the big picture when we pop open the Zoopedia in game. So again, I'm going to delete everything that's not Jaguar. We're going to save. We're going to reopen. Now we're going to hash, and then we're going to save again. Thumbnails, not new, reopen. An OVL, reopen that again. For this one, there are 3 entries for each animal, unless there's an albino, in which case there will actually be I want to say 6, but so what I'm going to do here, the quick and dirty way to do this is just to exclude search and then type in the field Jaguar. So this will, if I spell Jaguar correctly, exclude the Jaguar from this, so everything that's in here is everything that's not Jaguar. So I can just Control A and delete it all at once. And then if I untick exclude search, we'll be left with just our Jaguar files. So we have male normal, male albino, juvenile normal, female albino, female normal. Now we save. And an animal without an albino variant will just have the 3. So thumbnails, open, reopen the thumbnails, hash jaguar to mtiger, and save it again. And finally, we have the Zoopedia map. Again, I want to open it, then reopen it to clear the cache. All right, and we're going to get rid of everything that doesn't say Jaguar. And then we're going to save it. Then we're going to reopen it. Then we're going to hash it. All right, now our UI files are done. We're going to save it again. It will display the Jaguar images, thumbnails, and Zoopedia map, but it will be pointing to the Malayan tiger now instead of the Jaguar. In the part 2 of this video, I'll show you how to go in and actually edit in your own, basically screenshots of your new modded animal to make it actually appear correctly in game. All right, so that is done. So our UI is done right now. Next up is the animals. Now, in here, we grabbed the content to animal data. So we only need the big cat data for this one because jaguar and tiger are both big cats. So aardvarks can go away, apes can go away, frogs, horses can all go away. In big cats, we have the jaguar data in here, but we don't want our Malayan tiger to look like a jaguar. We want it to actually use the actual tiger rig and model that we already have in game. So we're going to delete the jaguar. We're going to go into OVL data, content 0, animals. We're going to go into big cats and grab the Bengal tiger folder, and we're going to copy it. We're going to come back into OVL data and our Malaysian tiger mod, go into big cats, and we're going to paste in that Bengal tiger. We are going to change the name of this folder to mtiger. We're going to copy that. We're going to go in here, change the name. Come on. Replace Bengal tiger with mtiger. Place and replace. We'll also be renaming our OVLs. I'm not going to do that right now because I've had the Cobra tool kick weird errors, like it can't find the correct OVS when I do that. So we're going to leave that alone. Now, we are going to turn, in this next step, the Bengal tiger rig and model into our Malayan tiger. And this is going to be probably the most complicated portion that we do, and this is going to be where you absolutely must follow these exact steps. We can't do this any other way. So I'm going to open another OVL. I'm going to reopen the mail. I always start with the mail first. I don't know why, it's just how I do it. Now, we're going to hash the names. However, we're not going to hash them all at once. We're going to do this in a very specific step here. So we're going to type in lowercase Bengal underscore tiger. Now, as you know, we have to hash the same number of characters. However, Bengal tiger and M tiger are vastly different. So we have to make a new code name just for this step. So what I want to do is replace the word Bengal with something else. We're going to keep the underscore tiger portion the same, but we're going to include it. So Bengal is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters long. So we're going to replace that with M-A-L-A-Y. Is that 6? I think that's 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. We're going to do it like that. So Malaya, which isn't quite right, but it works. Tiger. Add the @ symbol. Add the @ symbol to both of these. Control H. We've now hashed our animation files. Now, add the gender, underscore male, underscore male. We're keeping the @ symbol. Hash. Now, remove the @ symbol. We're going to do our FGMs, and we're going to do them one at a time. So first up is underscore. So Bengal tiger whiskers. So we're going to add underscore whiskers, underscore whiskers. Hash. As you can see, we've just changed one at a time. And you'll see why we do this in just a second. It has to be one step at a time. So next we're going to do fur. Hash. Next up we're going to do eyes. Eyes. And last up will be skin. There we go. Now if I sort by name, there are now still remaining in here 3 instances of Bengal tiger. These we do not want to hash to Malaya tiger. We want to hash these to the original code name of our animal, which is M tiger. This is the only time we hash names of different lengths. And that's because this has to match this. So, okay, I did not want to do that. So this name has to match this name. Otherwise, the game won't be able to recognize the model for the animal, the model and the rig, which is, and I believe it's the MS2 in the motion graph. But yeah. Okay, now we're going to hash these. So now those are done. Now we're going to save our male tiger. So that was the male. We're going to save him. Now we're going to reopen that. We're going to close and reopen it by opening another OVL. Very important to do this step. We close and reopen. Now we're going to do the species DAT editing. So we're going to hash capital letters at this point. So Bengal tiger capitalized. We're going to hash with our new code name, which is Malaya tiger. So six characters, an underscore 5 characters. 6 characters, underscore 5 characters. These have to match and be the same length. We're going to come to edit and species DAT edit. You can also hit Control K. Click on that. This is doing a whole bunch of stuff here. We used to have to do this manually. We don't have to do it manually anymore. Take a look over here in the command prompt. It didn't kick any errors. So that's good. It means that that was successful. Now we save the male again. All right, so that's done. Now we're going to do the female. And it's going to be the same process. So exact same process. We're going to go lowercase Bengal tiger @ symbol. Lowercase Malaya, spell it right, tiger @ symbol. Hash. add the gender, add the gender, hash. Now, sort by file type. I want to see my FGMs here. So now we're going to do eyes. I just like to go down the list of whatever's at the top. That's what I start with. Hash, fur, fur, skin, skin, whiskers, and whiskers. Okay, so all of those have been hashed. I'm going to sort it by name. We have our 3 instances of Bengal tiger remaining. And we're going to hash that to mtiger. And hash. Okay, so we're going to save. Save the female OVL. Clear the cache by closing and reopening. Now we're going to do our species dat edit. So Bengal tiger, Malaya tiger. Now make sure I've spelled everything correctly. It looks fine. We'll do our species dat edit. All right, so that's done. Looks good over there. Going to save it. And now we will do the juvenile. And then we are almost done. And I want to open another OVL just in case. Open and open. Bengal underscore tiger at symbol. Malaya underscore tiger at symbol. Hash. Add the juvenile. Add the juvenile. Make sure I've spelled it correctly. Hash that. And now we do our FGMs. There we go. So underscore eyes, underscore eyes. Whiskers and whiskers. Fur and fur. Skin and skin. All right, so the FGMs are done. Sorted by name. We only have 3 instances of Bengal tiger remaining. And we're going to hash that to mtiger. Hash. All right. We're going to save the juvenile. And now we are going to open another OVL, reopen the juvenile. All right, do our species dat edit. So capital Bengal tiger, capitalize Malaya tiger, and species dat edit. All right, that is done. We'll now save it. And we can close this down. We have one more step before we can go in game and test it. So now we have to change the name of our OVLs. Change Bengal tiger to mtiger. Just copy and paste. and paste, and then the juvenile. All right, so that is done. Now we are going to test this in game. What we should have is we should be able to place in a Malayan tiger that has the model of a Bengal tiger and uses the UI data of the jaguar. So it'll have jaguar icons and look like a Bengal tiger. All right, hey, we were able to load into the zoo, so that's always good. So we go animal trading. Now, if you'll notice, our 4 blank animals here have disappeared. That is a good thing. That's a very good thing. So now we scroll down to the M's, and oh, look, Malayan tiger right under Malayan tapir. If we click on that, click on confirm, look at this. So they're using the jaguar icons, but that's fine. So we're going to adopt, adopt. I'm just going to adopt all 4. Going to go here, grab all of them. Nothing has crashed yet, so this is a very good sign. And we're going to plop them in. And I have a trade center like literally right next to the gate, so this will only take like a second here. They will run the animals in, and if everything went right, they won't be invisible. Hey, they're not invisible. Look at that. So, if we pause the game here and click on one of them, we can see that it looks like a Bengal tiger with a jaguar icon, with an Indonesian name, with the tag name Malayan tiger. If we now go to our Zoopedia, Malayan tiger, Panthera tigris jacksoni, uses the jaguar Zoopedia image because we haven't actually replaced it yet. All of this is still the jaguar Zoopedia information because we haven't actually changed anything. We just did our quick and dirty find and replace of the jaguar name with Malayan tiger. As you can see, we have a working Zoopedia map. Right now it's showing the jaguar Zoopedia map. We'll do a custom one in the next, in the part 2 of this, and then species data. All of this is now correct. Research status, it's displaying the jaguar fun facts because we need to go in and change those. For food, so it uses, we changed this to from bones to whole carcass and bones. So that's correct. It uses all the enrichment that the jaguar does. And yeah, so everything looks correct. So that is how you create a new species in Planet Zoo using a base game animal, in this case the Bengal tiger, and pairing it with the files from a DLC animal, in this case the jaguar. So this is a success here, and actually, I want to, if I can pause this, so that is a female Bengal tiger, that is a male Malayan tiger. They're kind of, are they basically the same size? Okay, so they are basically the same size. So even though it's using the jaguar data, it's not doing anything weird here. Now, when we were doing the animal FDB in the size data, I noted how the jaguar size data is the exact same for the male and female. As you can see, the males and the females, though, are not the same size. So just keep that in mind when you, why did that happen? When you go ahead and start messing with that to make them the correct size if you need to. So this has been part 1 of how to create a new animal species in Planet Zoo. I do hope you'll join me for part 2. Part 2, we are going to take this absurdly fat, kind of bloated Bengal tiger, our default in-game one, and we are going to make it give it a makeover into a Malayan tiger. So that will be a new texture and alterations to the model. We'll be doing the alterations to the model in Blender. I will be doing the texture in Photoshop. You can do that in GIMP if you need to use a free program. I'll go over how to do that in the next one. So I do hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I know it's been a bit of a long one. I think it's about 2 hours at this point, might be a little bit less. That's about average for how long it takes to do the files. Your first few times, it's going to take a lot longer. And you're probably going to have to redo stuff. But hopefully this video will help you get your first mods working and also give you a reference for if you run into trouble, you need to go back and troubleshoot something, you'll be able to find where something went wrong, go back, make those changes, and get your mod working correctly. So if you have enjoyed this video, please leave it a like, comment down below, let me know what you think. Do you have any questions that I haven't answered in the video? If so, I will try to answer them in part 2. Subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. Hit the bell notification if you'd like to be notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today, and I will see you in the next one.